On behalf of every NBA fan, past and present, sorry to every Sacramento Kings fan, past and present. Because in the span of just a few years, the Kings have gone from one of the most enjoyable teams in the NBA. A team with two different franchise-level point guards at once, a head coach that had brought them back to the playoffs and made them one of the best offenses in the NBA, and now they gave it all away to be the Chicago Bulls of the West. Right here is the Sacramento Kings top 6 in minutes played from the 2021-22 season, and next to them is likely to be the top 6 in minutes played next year, which is even worse if the reports are true that the Kings not only wanted Dennis Schroeder, but they were looking to offload Malik Monk to sign 36-year-old Russell Westbrook. I'm not about to tell you that a team with Buddy Hield and Harrison Barnes was perfect, or the next dynasty, but you had two all-NBA level talents. Davion Mitchell and Dante DiVincenzo have proven how great they can be as role players off the bench, and this was just before they drafted Keegan Murray, who could have slotted in perfectly alongside Hallie and or DeAaron. But instead, they now have a team that would have been absolutely lethal about 6 years ago, and in a league that is quite black and white. Hold up, not like that. In the sense you are either looking to compete for a title, or at least a conference finals appearance, or you are rebuilding and looking to compete for one in the future. Is there any team in a more confusing situation than the Sacramento Kings? Because every move they make suggests they want to win, but everyone but the Kings can see their team is going to be mediocre at best. At least the Chicago Bulls are quite young. You know it's bad when you look at the Chicago Bulls situation and say, I would rather that than whatever the Kings are currently doing. Which is what the Chicago Bulls did 3 years ago, and that didn't work. How's it gonna work now? And this is why I feel terrible for Kings fans, because after years and years of torment and torture, finally, they had something to enjoy. They weren't the greatest team ever, but they were fun. They were relatively young, and they had a good head coach, who apparently wasn't good enough for the lofty standards of the Kings' ownership. Since 2006, the Sacramento Kings have had 2 seasons in which they finished with a record above 500. That is 2 out of 19. Those 2 seasons came in back-to-back years. They were the only 2 full seasons Mike Brown had as the head coach of the Sacramento Kings, because after taking the Kings from a 30-win team in 2022 to a 48-win team in 2023, and then having a 46-win season the following year, the Kings decided they would fire Mike Brown 30 games into his 3rd season as head coach. For a franchise that was comfortable being awful for nearly 2 decades, it took them less than half a season to turn on their best coach in 2 decades.
Your thoughts on the firing of Mike Brown?
Awful. Yeah, awful. And I go into the meeting and the coaches say, you hear about Mike Brown? And I said, why, what happened? They said he got fired. And at first I was really shocked and surprised. And then I caught myself. I said, why am I shocked and surprised? And 2, who he works for. So I'm not surprised that Mike Brown got fired, because I got fired by the same person.
But it just seems so shocking when a guy is the unanimous coach of the year a year and a half ago. And when you think about where that franchise was before Mike got there, you know, where they've been the last couple of years, the job that he and his staff have done, it just really shocking.
And then there was the DeAaron Fox side of things, who decided to really speak his mind after he was traded from Sacramento. You fire the coach and you don't do an interview, so all the blame was on me. Did it weigh on me? No, I don't give a but the fact y'all are supposed to be protecting your best player and y'all let that happen, I felt at the time the organization didn't have my back. And you see the contempt that DeAaron Fox has treated the Kings with since being traded, and it's quite sad, because he's one of the greatest players in their franchise history. I think he loves the fans, which is clear. Well, aside from when he tried a crypto rug pull, but aside from that, he did seem to have love for the fans and the organization. But after being traded, there's almost been a level of disdain towards the organization, even after getting traded to the destination he wanted to go to, which reaffirms what we already suspect. Something is not right in Sacramento, whether that's the ownership, the front office, the coaching staff, or the playing group. honestly, it might just be a combination of everything. Because when you have a front office that makes strange decisions, you have a team that has no direction and a coaching staff that is replaceable, who is actually going to be happy? And I'm sorry, but possibly the funniest and most accurate representation of what this Kings franchise is like was at the beginning of the offseason, when it was reported the Kings were looking for a point guard, with general manager Scott Perry highlighting the need for playmaking, which I don't even need to explain the irony of, or even looking at some of their moves around the edges, like trading 2 second-round picks for Jonas Valanciunas halfway through last year, only to then trade Valanciunas for the worst player in the NBA as a way to save cap space. And as someone who watched a lot of Denver basketball last year, I don't say it lightly, Dario Saric might actually be the worst player in basketball. Or how about the same thing with Jake LaRavia, trading away a second-round pick to acquire him, only to then lose him in free agency? If the Kings could be summed up, it feels like in a league where you have to not only think about your next move, but the move after that, and then the move after that, the Kings are quite literally focused on one thing at a time. And unfortunately, as we're going to see unfold, it's just not going to work out. Because what exactly is the best outcome for the Kings this season? Keegan Murray and Keon Ellis developing? That is the only outcome that would be positive unless they magically finish as a top 6 seed. And I can almost guarantee you that will not happen. But the problem with the outcome is Keegan Murray and Keon Ellis are best as role players. They are the perfect complementary pieces for you know who. I'm not even going to mention it because I don't want to rub salt into the wounds, but those guys are great alongside players. If you were expecting Keegan Murray and Keon Ellis to be the next faces of your franchise, then unfortunately, that's not going to work. But if you want them to be complementary pieces for 37-year-old DeMar DeRozan and 33-year-old Dennis Schroeder, I mean, I guess you could win maybe 38 games, if that's what you're looking to do. Because the sad thing is, when you look at the success of the Indiana Pacers, I know I said I wasn't going to do it, but I have to say it, that's not far off the blueprint the Kings once had. You have Tyrese, and then two really good defenders and high-end role players in Davion Mitchell and Keegan Murray, with DeAaron Fox a wild card, clearly, but if you had traded him at the time, you could have got a better asset to surround Tyrese Halliburton with. Then you would have had 3-and-D wings, plus one of the best playmakers in the league and the future of the point guard position. I'm not going to do it. Like I said, Kings fans don't deserve it, and this is not a reflection on Kings fans, but just abysmal ownership that looks like they have absolutely no clue what they want to do. Or at least, they have no clue how to get to where they want to be. Because as of now, the Kings are directionless, and it's just sad to see after it looks like they finally turned the corner. Now, if you made it all the way to the end of the video and want to see more content like this going forward, subscribe to the channel. It's free. Dropping a like would be cool. Have a great day. Bye.